Well, welcome, ChangePoint family, to the Online Commons post-service experience. And like Rick just said, I am joined today by Adam Legg, the Executive Director of Love Alaska. Welcome, Adam.
Thanks, Tony. Good to see you again.
So for anybody who, Love Alaska is one of our favorite partners. We've been partnered with you guys since the beginning.
Yep.
But for those who aren't familiar with Love Alaska or your ministry offerings, what is it that you guys do?
Yeah, so our vision statement is to engage, equip, and mobilize the church to serve those that society's marginalized. Basically, what we do is we look for areas specific of injustice, areas of brokenness in our culture, in our communities, and ask the question, how do we get the church engaged in fighting those? How do we get the church engaged in bringing hope and help and healing into those areas? We primarily do that through a few of our initiatives. We have Priceless, which works with survivors of human trafficking. So survivors will be paired with a team of mentors who are trained from local churches. They get to walk with them. They get to experience healthy relationships. And that's what Priceless does. And then we have Chosen, which started after Priceless. And really, we started Chosen to try to get upstream of the trafficking issue. We started to look at, okay, what are the commonalities in the stories of our survivors in Priceless? And we kept hearing things like broken families and broken homes and aging out of foster care. And so we said, well, there's an opportunity then to connect the church into the lives of youth who are at risk here in our state. And so that's what Chosen does. Chosen basically puts healthy adults, healthy people in the lives of youth who are at risk. And Tony, a lot of times we hear that our mentors are the only people that are in the lives of these youth who aren't paid to be there. Right? And there's something different when you step into the life of someone with no strings attached, right? You're there because you choose to be there. You're there because they have value to you, and that's it. And the third thing we do is our engaged training, because while the initiatives are really great, they require people, and the reality is I think most people just don't understand how to, in a healthy way, step into the lives of marginalized people. And so Engage is designed to equip the average church person to realize that I don't have to be a professional counselor. I don't have to be a therapist. I can step in with the kind of hope that Jesus stepped into my life with, and just be present with them. And that's what Engage does.
That's amazing. Obviously, everything you just said fits so well with our value of demonstrating life in Christ.
Absolutely.
Right? We were talking about that a few weeks ago, and we were saying that demonstrating life in Christ is treating people in such a way that they see Jesus.
Yep.
And everything you're saying is just so life on life, mentorship, just friendship.
That's it.
And that is tremendous. So I want to talk a little bit specifically about engaged training, because yeah, this is something that would be intimidating if you're thinking about, you're just a normal person, you go to church, and maybe you hear a sermon or something and you think, oh wow, how cool it would be to step into the lives of people in the margins. But that's so intimidating.
Yep.
And especially in a year like 2020, I mean, we're not leaving the house to go to the movies,
That's right.
much less to engage in the lives of marginalized people.
That's
right?
right.
So, I mean, what does engaged training look like, and what can people expect at something like that?
Yeah, so Engage training is a day and a half training. It's Friday night and then Saturday, most of the day. And we hit on things that are the core things that we want to be true about the lives of the people that we connect with, marginalized people. So a lot of times you approach a training, and the way I describe it at the training is we approach it with a magnifying glass approach. We expect that, maybe we're going to show you how to kick down the door and rescue a trafficking survivor, right? We're going to teach you how to, right? It's like, this is like super social justice warrior training. But Tony, what we actually do instead of a magnifying glass is we give people a mirror to look back on their life and say, am I living the kind of life that reflects Jesus in such a way that when I step into the life of a broken person, what I bring is healing and hope? Or am I bringing like my agenda? Or am I bringing my best plan for their life? Or am I helping them discover what God's best plan is for their life? And so Engage is designed for the average person to understand, when we look at the brokenness in the world around us, what's my responsibility? What's my role, right? We live in a state that we all know leads the nation in like the worst statistics. As followers of Jesus in Alaska, what's our responsibility in that? What do I do? Not just what is an organizational responsibility of like a church, but what's my responsibility as a follower of Jesus in a state where there's broken people all over the place? How do I step into their lives? How do I be a friend and just be with them? I remember someone here when I was at ChangePoint used to use the term the ministry of availability, right? Just this withness when you're with broken people. And that's what Engage teaches people how to do.
Well, Jesus did that a lot too, right?
Absolutely.
How much time? How many of these stories just start off? Jesus was eating dinner with somebody,
That's
right?
it. Yeah.
Jesus was hanging out in a field someplace with people.
Yep.
He is very present and available.
Yeah, and that's actually the language we even start Engage training with, is that what we're trying to help people discover is the way of Jesus, right? The best thing you can put in the life of a survivor of trafficking, or the best thing you can put in the life of a youth who's at risk, is someone whose life looks a lot like Jesus, right? Like that's it. Like, put a disciple of Jesus in their life and watch what happens. A lot of times people expect that, well, I need to be a counselor, right? Or I need to be a therapist, or I need to come with answers. And that can be intimidating because I'm broken as well, right? And so it's like now you're going to pair me with a trafficking survivor whose story is the most horrendous thing I've ever done. What am I going to do with that? But we trained you to see that it's not about that. If they need counseling, we will get them counseling. We'll get them therapy. We'll get them the kind of professional services they need. Step into their life as a disciple of Jesus and be with them. And trust that that's enough. And trust that God's plan for them and God's care for them is even more than yours. So it's just equipped. I mean, Tony, it sounds so simple. It's equipping the church to be the church in the lives of broken people. That's all that it is.
I think that's the best summary we could possibly have. And if there are people in your life who you would love to see meet Jesus, this same pattern is how you offer the love of Jesus to anybody.
That's it.
Right? It's not specific to people in the margins or trafficking survivors. I mean, it so much is about who we are,
Yep.
at least as much as it is about anything we do.
Yeah, we originally wrote Engage to train mentors in our Priceless program, because at the beginning that's what we had, right? It was just Priceless, and we needed a way to train and equip people. But we had somebody come through our training fairly early on who was from another local social service. And she said, I was sitting there taking notes, and I realized that if you take out trafficking survivor and you put any other marginalized person, whether it's homeless, youth in foster care, someone struggling with suicide and depression, like any other marginalized person, everything you just talked about is applicable. And so we kind of reworked Engage, realizing that this isn't trafficking specific. This is for everybody. We had somebody go through who he works at NSTAR, and he went through the training. And at the end of the training, we kind of do this takeaway, leave behind, where we just want to hear people's feedback from the weekend, and what did God say to them? What are they going to do about it? And I loved what he said at the end. He goes, I've realized during the training that I'm not going to be a mentor. That's not the direction that I feel God's calling me. He was like, but everything that I learned here, I'm going to go back and take this to my work, and I'm going to take this to my family, and I'm going to take this to my neighborhood. And that's the goal. I mean, Tony, less than half of the people who go through Engage will ever be involved with our organization. Engage doesn't exist for us to get mentors and volunteers. Engage exists to equip the church. And so even if you're somebody who doesn't want to be involved in Priceless or Chosen or Love Alaska, but you want to be better equipped to step into the brokenness that you see in our community and in our state, that's what Engage is for. It's not specific for our organization. It's about equipping the church in our culture.
So you just told the story about that NSTAR guy, and then almost immediately in the chat, you were mirrored. Denise came up through here and said, Engage training was very helpful for me in finding relational healthiness just with others, just in my life.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. If there are people on the stream who are listening about Engage training and saying, I think that actually might be my next step with Jesus, when is the next Engage training?
Yeah, so the next one we actually have is this coming weekend. This next coming weekend, Friday night and Saturday. We still have spaces open. We're doing it in a space where we're going to have, very few people at a table, socially distanced. We have masks, all that kind of stuff. So we're doing it smaller groups than we have in the past. So that's the next upcoming one. And people can get more information. It's just engage.training. So www.engage.training. You can find out information there, register. We're still finalizing our early 2021 dates. So those aren't out yet, but we'll have those out soon on the website.
And for those of you who have the ChangePoint app, the Engage training link is also in quick links on the ChangePoint app. So engage.training, or just open up the app and it's right there on the homepage on quick links.
Perfect.
So Adam, I wanted to talk to you about another kind of a cool thing. You guys are launching a new initiative, a new program. What would you call it?
So it's our kind of end of the year campaign.
Okay.
The nonprofit world has changed, as has all of the world in 2020, right? Like the things look differently. And so we've had to, as a team, go back to the drawing board and say, okay, galas are no more this year, right? Fundraising auctions are no more this year. Gathering larger groups of people to communicate vision and tell stories are no more this year. And so how do we do that in a way that is more appropriate for the current world that we're in? And so we sat down with our team and we came up with something called Freedom is Priceless. You know, one of the things that we have always really strived to do is when we tell the stories of people we work with, we want to do it in a way that is honoring and doesn't exploit, right? In a way that is beautiful and brings honor to their story, but doesn't feel like just kind of cringy, right? And so we've worked with some artists, we've worked with some copywriters and some storytellers to really tell the stories of impact through our organization. And so we're actually launching it like this morning. Like this morning was the go live morning. So it is up and it actually worked.
It is up. It is up. And Thatch, can we pull that thing up? Through the power of technology, we've actually got a way. Look at this. Here it is, the new Freedom is Priceless website. Yeah. Adam, walk us through. What are we looking at here?
Yeah, so I'm really proud of this. And I got to say, just my team has worked so hard on this, and I'm just really proud of it. So here we just have some verbiage that describes some of the things that we have seen over the last 8 years of Priceless. And then if you scroll down a little bit, we're going to get into some of these specific stories.
It's off to the right. The screen's off. It's this way. There you go. And scroll. Just scroll. There we go. There we go. Hey, we got it. All right. So, power of technology.
So down here, you can see very image-driven, the stories behind our mission. And so what we've done is we've divided some stories up. You can see a story of being chosen, a story of healing, a story of a voice restored. And let's go ahead, and if you wouldn't mind, would you just click into, let's do that story of a voice restored, that very top one.
Upper left?
On the upper left-hand corner.
Click that picture.
Right above it, actually. We can do this one totally great. Learning to dream again. So what we have is we have a little bit of the story here, but one of the things I really love, because a person's story in our organization doesn't ever just involve them, right? It involves a mentor team. Sometimes it involves professional therapy. Sometimes it involves lots of different things. It can involve their church community. It can involve a lot of things. So we have the story, but then you can see there's actually a hyperlink that says, want to learn more about this story? It's at the bottom. It says, take a deeper dive here.
All right, let's take a deeper dive. Let's go, Adam.
And so what this does is this actually takes you to YouTube playlists that tell different stories of this person. So in this, you can see relationship first. Why did relationship matter in this person's story? Trafficking survivors and the legal system. Why does that matter in the life of this story? And so it's not just the story of the person, it's the story of all of the things that it took to write her freedom story. It's not just her story, because her story involves other people. It involves other aspects. And that's one of the things that we don't always think about with this is you hear a story, but you don't think of all the other things that went into that story. And so that's what we tried to tell with this. We tried to tell the story as well as everything else that it took. That it takes the legal system. It takes hospitality at our Priceless Compassion House. It takes mentors who stepped in with hope and healing and love and acceptance. It took the ability for engaged training to be held so her mentors could be equipped. It took, right, there's a number of things that it takes that goes into each story. It's very rarely just the story. And so that's what we wanted to share this year was the story, but really show people everything else that it takes.
That is amazing. Honestly, as I'm looking at this website, this is the future of testimonies.
I completely agree.
Yep. 100%.
Yep.
I love it. I don't know if you know this about me. My first kind of ministry volunteer thing was working with Salvation Army, adult rehabilitation program. And we've got guys who are celebrating 11, 12 years of sobriety. Yep. I think back about all the people who were involved in that journey, and we have no record of that. It's just occasionally you post something on Facebook or something. This is really, really tremendous. So where can people go if they want to read these incredible stories?
Yeah, so it's freedomispricelessak.org. They can go and check it out right there. It's also on the app. Yep. Linked there.
freedomispricelessak.org, or in the ChangePoint app. We'll have that up all week. And it looked like there was six or seven full stories, which means 6 or 7 YouTube playlists with sub stories. Yeah. So if you are interested in the kind of work that the Church of Jesus is doing in our city, and how that works and what it looks like and what it takes to see God heal someone's life, check that out. freedomispricelessak.org. traffickinsurvivorship.org, and it launched today.
And it launched today, and it worked.
And it launched today, and it
Yeah,
worked.
and
And
that's one
it's
of the-
ready for the show.
It's ready for the show. So yeah, we're really proud of it. We're really proud of the way that it tells the stories of those that we work with. It feels like it does it in a really honoring way, in a really beautiful way. But it also helps shine the light on some people that don't always get. Mentors sometimes have a thankless job, right? And people don't get to hear the story of mentorship. And so this allows us to tell the story of mentorship. People don't think about, well, yeah, what about training healthcare providers in the fight against trafficking? What about the legal system? What about all of that kind of stuff? All of those stories are on there. And so, yeah, I went through and watched everything, and I was really proud of it.
So I want to switch gears a little bit and just get some insight and almost like a report back from you.
Yeah.
You are boots on the ground with the mentors, are boots on the ground with people in the margins in our community. 2020 has been a crazy, crazy year. What has it looked like? What have been the unique challenges? What do you guys face in this year?
Yeah, it's been a difficult year, Tony. It's been a difficult year, and COVID hit and shut things down really at just a terrible time for us. One of the things that we saw with COVID is that isolation in the life of trafficking survivors has been used as a form of punishment, right? And so we have clients that don't do well alone, and we have this whole experience as a culture over the last number of months where people have been forced to be alone. And so what's happened is that we have just seen people absolutely spiral out of control, which has meant more work for mentors to stay connected, right? Less one-on-one meetings and more text messages and FaceTimes, which isn't always ideal either, right? Sometimes you just need to sit across a coffee table and be with somebody. Well, the whole with somebody kind of went away for a season, and that was really difficult. So we saw our need increase. At the same time, we saw, again, as I mentioned earlier, things like fundraisers have to be canceled. And so resources to meet needs absolutely plummeted, while the needs in the life of marginalized people just absolutely skyrocketed. And it's not just emotional needs forced by isolation. It's also economic and financial needs. A lot of our people that we work with lost jobs, right? Some of those were the jobs that went away first. And now as they're looking to get rehired, many of the people we work with have, they might have criminal records, and so it's difficult for them to find jobs now. And so we've kind of gotten them through sort of the valley, and we're working with them to get back on their feet, but even that can be a difficult process. So the last number of months has been really difficult, and this is one of the consequences I don't think we considered as a culture, was what happens in isolation to people who are marginalized. Because it's not good. Yeah, it's really hard stuff. So that's what we've been seeing. And then on top of that, just, as an organization, I'm trying to care well for our mentors who are also going through this, right? Trying to care well for our staff who, oh, by the way, is also going through this.
Right.
And so you kind of have to care well for all of those people as we're having this experience together.
So I think we touched on the answer to my next question, but it's for members of the Change Point family who either want to be involved or want to be praying for you, want to be supporting you, just want to be good brothers and sisters to love Alaska during this season. How can they be involved? How can we be praying? What would be helpful to you?
Yeah, Tony, a couple things come to mind. Number one, I'd say if you want to be involved, really engaged training is the step number one. We so believe in that it is, if you want to be a volunteer or a mentor, that's our first requirement. It helps you understand the language of what we do. It helps you understand the vision of what we do and why we do things certain ways. Why do we talk so much about Sabbath and rest as an organization? Why do we talk so much about the need for community and to be connected? Why do we talk about those things? Engage touches on all of that. So that's really step number one if you want to be involved.
And just to remind everybody, that Engage training is happening this week, coming up in a week's time, and the engage.training or the registration link is in the Change Point app. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing, as far as praying for us, I think a couple things. Number one, obviously, is with most nonprofits right now, the prayer for resources, right, to be able to continue the mission. But then also that in this season, what we've really been praying for is our mentors. Because mentorship is the leading edge of the spear of what we do. I mean, a lot of nonprofits exist to connect people to resources, right? Our kind of unique take on this is that primarily we connect people to people. And then resources are brokered and networked through that, but primarily it's people to people. And so for us, it's really important that our mentors are experiencing life, that our mentors are feeling rested, that our mentors are, not in this place of a burnout and chaos, and which culture kind of is right now, right? And so really just praying for the spiritual, emotional, physical health of those who are walking with marginalized people that our organization serves. So that'd be one of the big things. We're being better, especially during the Freedom is Priceless campaign, about posting on all of our social pages some of these videos, some of these stories, some of the prayer needs. So even just connecting with us there so that they can kind of see what the ongoing needs are. But yeah.
All right. Well, we're short of time. Is there anything that you wanted to say to the ChangePoint family that I did not give you an in for? Is there anything else you'd want to say to our family?
Gosh, Tony, I think that I would just say thank you. I mean, you can't read the Priceless, Love, Alaska, and Chosen story without seeing ChangePoint all over it, right? Like it's part of our history. It's where we started out of. I mean, ChangePoint is a part of our history and part of our story, and not just from the beginning, but almost every engaged training we have change pointers go through. In every one of our programs and initiatives, we have change pointers involved. And so I would just say thank you for the way that you guys not only launched us from the beginning, but have continued to support us as an organization. And in fact, one of the things I love is that when in our engaged training, there's clear change point language in there. And I really love that. It just feels very familiar. So I think I would just say thanks to the ChangePoint family. We've always felt really loved by you guys and really supported by you guys, and that means the world to us.
Well, we do love you.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that it's felt. Yeah. We're at 11 o'clock. We are out of time, and so Adam, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you for joining us as well, ChangePoint family. God bless you. Have a great week, and we'll see you next Sunday.